Welcome to Verses and Visions Creative Conversations, where creativity and purpose meet to inspire and uplift. I'm Cassidy Beck, your host, here to explore the stories of artists, dreamers, and changemakers who are walking in faith and using their unique gifts to make a difference. Each episode is a reminder that your vision, paired with God's purpose, can transform the world around you. Let's get started and spark some inspiration together. I could not be more excited and delighted to be welcoming one of my favorite people in the whole world. This is Melissa Gonzalez. Melissa, welcome.
Hi, Cassidy. So good to be here on my first podcast.
I am so thrilled that we get to share this moment together. Let me tell you a little bit about Melissa. She is an incredible person. She was born in Princeton, New Jersey, but moved to Orem, Utah when she was 8 years old after her father accepted a position as an economics professor at BYU. Her interest in politics began in high school, where she participated in the Constitution team, student government, and Utah Girls State. She served a Spanish-speaking mission in Washington, D.C. for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Upon returning, she majored in political science at Brigham Young University and interned at Utah State Senate during her senior year for Senate Kurt Bramble from Provo. After graduating, she began working in the tech industry and software sales. She later returned to school and earned her MBA from the University of Utah. She currently works at Oracle in the office of the CEO as the Director of Cloud Global Business Practices, where she helps transition acquired companies and collaborates with product managers. Melissa has remained active in politics as a precinct leader in the caucus convention system and has supported quality candidates in various public offices. She also serves as a board of director of the nonprofit Promise to Live. She currently resides in Saratoga Springs, Utah, with her husband Israel, originally from Peru, Lima, Peru, with their two sons who are 14 and 16. Melissa has been chasing a dream. It's been 20 years, and finally, it is the time. Tell us about this dream that you're chasing.
Sure. When I served in the legislative internship in the Utah State Senate my senior year, it was one of the most impactful experiences of my life. And I always dreamed of going back there to serve. I jumped into married life, started my career right after getting my MBA, started having kids, and had some very challenging positions at Oracle where there wasn't a lot of work-life balance. I knew that while my kids were young and with a challenging career, I needed to focus on my family and protect my mental health. I knew I didn't have anything extra to give other than remaining an informed and involved citizen. I've looked at politics as a hobby and just stayed involved. And anytime there have been candidates that I've wanted to help support, I volunteer on their campaigns. I go to my neighborhood caucus meetings and I've served as a delegate. We have a county convention and a state convention. So I go to those annually and just to stay involved in politics. But I've dreamed of the day when I could run for office. And I still thought it would be about 2 or 4 more years out. And so I've started getting involved in the nonprofit sector and on some causes that are important to me. I thought that's what I would do for a few years until the right opportunity opened up. And then a little over 3 weeks ago, my life changed drastically when I heard that the representative from Saratoga Springs was stepping down to head up the governor's office of economic opportunity. He was very senior. He was in leadership. This opportunity opened up for a special election, and I knew immediately that I wanted to run.
So tell us specifically what you're running for.
I'm running for the State House of Representatives in District 51, which covers mostly Saratoga Springs and parts of Lehigh and Eagle Mountain and a tiny sliver of Draper. So it's primarily Saratoga Springs. I would be one of the representatives in the Utah House of Representatives. We work in coordination with senators in the Utah State Senate to pass legislation.
Someone doesn't become your favorite person without you knowing them. A couple words that I would use to describe you is supportive and involved. You are a champion of causes, especially for anyone close to you. If a friend has a dream, you share that dream and you help them in any capacity that you can. You like to give back. Tell us how this is aligned with your vision of giving back.
I have always tried to stay involved, whether it's at the city or community level. I served as the president of my HOA. That wasn't super fun. I could hear all the complaints. An example of my local involvement would be my son's piano teacher. She said, it would be so awesome if our street on our side of the city would connect to Saratoga Springs and give us a different outlet so we could avoid traffic. I said, let me see what I can do about that. So I contacted the Saratoga Springs City Councilman and a good friend of mine who's on the Eagle Mountain City Council. I explained it and they said, hey, this is on our radar. We're going to try to make it happen. We need to have citizens who are looking out for areas where they can help or at least raise concerns to our elected officials because government doesn't work without the participation of everyday people.
One example is in Lehigh, it's like 2100 South, and the intersection that was just horrible. I feel like
2100
it was,
North. You're right.
yes,
2100
yes.
North and 2300 West, right from your old neighborhood.
Yes. And I think there
Mhm.
was a young kid that saw this
Yes.
was a problem. Tell us about what he
Yeah,
did.
I used to live in the neighborhood just north of that. One of my friend's sons, for his Eagle project, decided to go out during rush hour when it was gridlock and pass out flyers and ask everyone to give their feedback to UDOT to ask for a turning lane to be painted. We didn't even require any new roads. And it was probably about a month. And they took all this survey data and then they presented it to UDOT and they were able to get UDOT to change the intersection. They did it again also where a little bit further back it was blocked and they just needed to have do not block painted there. And then the next year they put in a light there and the improvements. I actually went and passed out flyers with him for his Eagle project because I'm like, we do need a change there. Like I do like to be involved. To answer your question, the idea of being a voice for people at the state capitol is very exciting to me. It's a huge responsibility and something I feel qualified for, ready for, and willing to do. Public service can be a sacrifice and you are jumping into the fire. I've always thought of it like putting your face up on a dartboard and letting people throw darts at it and they're going to be watching you, criticizing you. Sometimes they make it personal and criticize you as a person and you have to be ready for that. And it's just something that you have to be willing to handle if you want to be able to make a difference. And I really do want to be able to make a difference. And to be able to do it on a larger scale is very exciting to me.
I think it's incredible. You had mentioned you had gone to a Meet the Candidates night,
Mhm.
and you do have extensive training, and this is something that you're totally qualified for. That being said, it's not something you've done before. And so,
Correct.
do you have
Yeah.
doubts? And if so, how do you overcome them?
I think I'm aware of areas where I can improve. I don't think I'm the most eloquent public speaker. It's something that gets better as you practice, right? For me, it's always been you just have to jump in. And if you want something badly enough, you'll do what it takes to get there. We had our first Meet the Candidates night that was sponsored by the Utah County Republican Party. It was an informal way to meet delegates. And then at the end, they surprised us with a 5-minute speech on the stage, and no one was ready for it. Luckily, I had already typed up all my positions and where I stood for my website. I just quickly copied and pasted, put a little speech together, and talked about the three most important issues to me. Afterwards, I had people come up to me and say, thank you so much for talking about the issues, because mine was the only issues focused speech. Everyone else just took the time to casually introduce themselves. And I just jumped right in. Ever since then, I haven't felt nervous. And especially if you prepare, right? You don't have to be nervous because you've done the groundwork and you know that you're ready. And then you just have to do the thing and jump in. But it did feel like jumping in to the deep end of an ice cold pool for the first night. Once I had done it, it gave me the confidence to know that next time, oh, I've got this. I've already done it once. Just have to keep doing it again and again.
Tell us something inspirational to you right now.
Earlier this year, I was honored to be asked to serve on the board of a nonprofit called Promise to Live, focused on suicide prevention. It was started by a friend of mine, Brandy Vega. She does these monthly mental health town halls for Silken Slopes community, and that's where we met. I love what Brandy has created because she changes it from just a conversation about awareness to action. One of their main initiatives that they do, it's called Pocket Hug. And so they pass out these coins that have a saying on it, you are loved, you are needed, and it's a tangible reminder, right, that someone cares about you and that we need people to stay. And then she passes out a second one for them to give to someone that they love, and there's the ripple effect. She asks people to go to their website and make a promise that if they're ever in a dark place, they will reach out for help from a loved one or they'll call 988. And studies show that if you make a promise to yourself, you're more likely to keep that promise. We've already had people come up to us when we've been at booths, like we were at the state convention, and share about how it has changed their life. We had one woman come up to us and say, I still have a husband because of you, because I gave him the coin I got a year ago. And one night when he was having a really hard time, he left and he found that coin in his pocket and it made him stop enough to not go through with his decision. And he came home. All the work that we do would be worth it if it just saved one life. And I know that it has saved multiple lives. I lost a brother back in 2010. So it's very personal to me. When you lose someone to a tragedy like suicide, it's so permanent. You feel so helpless and like there's nothing you can do. It's true, we can't change the past, but we can change the future and help so that other people don't have to go through that same experience.
I just heard a quote that I love so much. It was talking about like addiction, and it talked about that connection is the opposite of addiction. And I know addiction and suicide are not the same thing.
Some overlap. For sure.
I also think connection can help with addiction, yes, but also with suicide as well.
Yeah.
So you are building the connections so that people feel like they are supported and loved. And what an incredible vision that you have and a board that you're a part of.
Yeah. And I wanted to share one more experience. We just had our first ever gala on Saturday night. My parents came and we were able to honor my brother as part of the memorial, the names behind the numbers. We had a couple of extra seats at our table. I thought one of my neighbors might like to have a night out at a fancy dinner. I'll invite her. We were having a great time. At the end of the night, she turned to me and said, "You don't know what you've done in inviting me because last night I was thinking that I wanted to end my life, that I had lost all hope. And you didn't know that you were inviting me here because I needed to hear the message of hope. And I'm leaving today with hope again." And I had that opportunity to say to her, "Please, if you're ever in that place again, reach out to me. I'm here for you anytime you need. We need you here. We love you. And please, it's okay to feel that way, but don't ever take action on those thoughts. If you keep them to yourself, it gives them power. If you share them with others, they can help you." And it's true that connection, like you said, can combat depression, hopelessness, suicidal thoughts, all of that. We need to continue to have that connection with others.
I wish I said it that eloquently, but all of the things that I were thinking, thank you for articulating that for me. That was very well said. And I think we rarely in life get to see a full circle moment. How
Mhm.
beautiful for this night for you to be with your
Yeah.
parents and to have you guys have gone through a tragedy and that you have found a way to turn that into action and to give hope to other people. That is a remarkable story.
Yeah. And my brother was part of the LGBT community here in Utah, and they had a candlelight vigil for him. I was the only one from the family who felt in a good place to go and be at the candlelight vigil. They gave me an opportunity to speak at it. This was 15 years ago when I was pregnant with my second baby. I got up and I got to speak to the people about who my brother was and who he meant to me. I need to go back and find that video from 15 years ago. I want to see what I said all those years ago. It feels like a different lifetime. Like when you think about who you were in high school, it feels like a different life that you lived because you don't ever forget when your life is rocked by a tragedy and the people that supported you and helped you through it. Ever since I lost my brother, when someone I know has lost a loved one, I try to show up for them because I know how much it meant to our family when we were going through that hard time.
Melissa, you and I don't always agree on every political issue. That being said, I know that like you are a safe place and then I can come talk to you. So my
Yeah.
question to you is, I know that you believe deeply in the importance of life and family and liberty. What does it look like to champion those values, but also be listening for and respectful for other people? I know you do it well, but how?
I always say that people are more important to me than politics. At the end of the day, that's why I care so much about being respectful of people with other beliefs. These are real people, and I don't think that you have to put forth your ideas in a way that's mean or hateful, like a lot of people decide to do on social media nowadays. There's so much hate out there and negativity. Even when I was an intern at the Senate, my best friend was one of the interns for the Democratic Party. MTV came and did a little interview of us. And we talked about how we're still best friends, even though we don't agree on politics. They filmed us walking through the Capitol and walking off into the sunset. It was just so funny that we were able to make it work. I hope that I'll bring that to my experience in the legislature. And it's so important. If you want to get to solutions, creative solutions, you have to keep people at the table, even if they're not going to get what they want. And even if you're not going to get everything you want. If you don't have the conversations, then you'll never get to a solution. So it's important to be respectful of other people. And also, as I've been running for office, I realize that I'm going to be representing people with differing views. I've told delegates in the campaign, I can't guarantee that I will vote how you want me to at every single vote, but I can guarantee that I will hear you out, I will listen to you, and I will take your perspective into consideration as I'm voting. I think that's what it means to be a responsible representative who truly represents the people. I was recently at an event where Governor Herbert was speaking on this topic at UVU, and he said, in politics, I've tried to be conservative in my values, moderate in my tone, and inclusive in the process. It really stood out to me. Often in the Republican Party, moderate is seen as a bad word, but he was using it to mean respectful in his tone. We all recognize we need more of that. I would hope to be the same, standing strong to my conservative values while being respectful in my tone and inclusive in the process. Everyone deserves to have their voice heard. And certain populations don't really get their voice heard as much. And so I just really hope that I'll be able to be a champion for the little guy, and the people that don't have all the power and influence still deserve to have a seat at that table. And that would be my responsibility as a representative.
Hey, Versus and Visions family. If you're on a journey to bring your God given visions to life, whether you're an artist, entrepreneur, or simply someone ready to take the next steps towards your dreams, I've got something just for you. Join the Sage Verse Publishing newsletter. It's packed with encouragement, practical insights, and strategies to help you stay focused, overcome challenges, and build role momentum. Let's walk this path together. Sign up today at sageversepublishing.com because your vision matters, and I'm here to help you make it happen. Let's talk about the original soda beer's drink, apple beer. If you know, you know, and if you don't, well, you're in for a treat. Apple beer is a crisp, refreshing drink that's been a family favorite for generations. It's non-alcoholic, smooth, and packed with that perfect apple spice flavor. Whether you're sipping it solo or sharing it with friends, it's always a good time. It's more than just a drink. It's tradition. It's community, and it's about savoring the simple joys in life. So next time you're looking for something special, reach for an apple beer. Now available on Amazon. Cheers to good times and great conversations. So you've worn many hats. You've talked about them some before. You are a wife, mom, a professional, you're a citizen activist, you're a supporter, you're a friend, you're a travel companion. You do a lot of things. What motivated you to do this candidacy now?
It's funny because it was a Friday afternoon. I was hiking up to see a waterfall with one of our mutual best friends, and I get a text message. It says, "Hey, Representative Moss just resigned. Would you consider running for office?" I knew immediately that I wanted to. I was in shock because I thought he would be in public office for maybe 5 or 10 more years. So I didn't expect this opportunity to come up. In fact, I had attended a training called Utah Women Run. They have an annual training up at the University of Utah, and there were two different tracks. You could choose the candidate track or the nonprofit track. I was on the nonprofit side because that was what I recently have been focused on. I was talking to some of the panelists after they spoke, and I said, I really should be next door because that's what I really want to do. I want to be a candidate. I want to run for political office, but there's not an opportunity in my district. So maybe in 4 years or so, but when the opportunity comes, I will. Little did I know that 2 months later, I would be thrown into running for political office. So I think it was something I always knew I wanted to do. They say that if you want to be happy in life, choose something that interests you, that makes you feel alive and passionate. And that's what politics has always been for me. This year, I was there on the last day of the legislative session to hang out with some friends and visit my legislators. I sat on the floor with my representative and I stayed until midnight to the closing bell. I just thought, this is what makes me so happy. I need to figure out how to get more of this in my life. I'm really pleased that the opportunity has come up in a time where I'm able to serve. I have a great job that allows me to take as much time off as needed to serve in the position. My kids are a little bit older. My husband is super supportive, and just felt like all the stars aligned for me to be taking this on at this time.
you have so many balls that you're juggling and you do it really well. What goes into your decision to be like, okay, this is the time? You had mentioned before where you're like, this isn't the time. Now it is. Is it just the opportunity that you waited for or the perfect timing, or was there something else to it?
I had already made the decision that I wanted to run for office pretty much any time going forward when an opportunity presented itself. I did have some friends of mine who were on the city council ask if I would have been interested in running for city council in the past few years, and it wasn't the right time because I was more interested in serving on a state level. It didn't call to me. A lot of it is the opportunity because it is a unique opportunity, a special election. The replacement will be decided by about 110 county delegates in the cafeteria of Westlake High School on a Saturday morning. It's a lot cheaper to run a campaign to reach only 110 people than all of the thousands of people in a district. And it's a lot shorter campaign cycle, a little over 6 weeks instead of 6 to 12 months sometimes. So it is a unique opportunity. I think I needed that great opportunity to make me want to jump in.
I have interviewed Israel, your husband has
Yep.
become on the podcast as well. And I think I love watching your marriage. We went on a marriage retreat together. It was very fun. And I love seeing how you guys work together. And each of you have dreams that are equally important and you take turns. Can you
Yeah.
speak to that?
Yeah, so my husband is very talented in music. He's an artist, and his day job, he works as a court interpreter, but his real passion is music. He gets to do an annual event for the Church of Jesus Christ, or Latter-day Saints. It's called the Luz de las Naciones show, and it's a Latino event where they represent all the Latin culture through music and dance. And it's beautiful. It's an inspiring program. It's every fall, which actually works out because the legislature is January, February, March, and he's busiest in the fall, like September, October, November. He is the creative director. He directs the choir. It's a cast of over 1,000 individuals. There's so much that goes into that. For those months, I really have to be supportive of him. He's not home as often, and I have to step up. We're comfortable with that give and take. He knows that if I'm successful with this run and I go to the legislature, he'll have to step up and be more present for the kids and taking over some of those responsibilities so that I can serve my community.
That's incredible. I feel like we hear a lot of times that men and women are equal before God. And I love watching you because I think you are living what that is meant to look like.
I agree.
I think before we've talked about hidden masters, just someone that is in your community that you really look up to. Who would be someone that you really look up to?
So, my political hero is Mia Love. She was the former mayor of Saratoga Springs when it was just starting out. And I came to know her back in 2012 when she ran for Congress. It was the same year that Mitt Romney ran for president. And I was fortunate enough to be able to go to the national convention in Tampa, Florida, where she gave her big inaugural speech and burst onto the national scene. She was seen as this rising star. She had to have a lot of courage, especially because when she became the congresswoman from Utah, she was part of the Black caucus in Congress and the only Republican. She talks about in her book about how it was hard because she had to stand up for what she believed in conservatism, which was at odds with her colleagues, but they were still really accepting of her. And I think it was a good example of how even when you don't completely fit in a situation, if you have courage and you're willing to do what it takes, you can really make a difference. She just recently passed away, sadly, at the age of 49. I was able to attend her funeral, and it's really shocking when someone passes away so young and you lament all the good they could have done had they been able to live longer. But I feel like she did so much in her early life that I think that was another thing that inspired me to finally want to run. I was talking to her family and I said, I just am going to channel my inner Mia and I'm just going to go for it. And I'm going to try to be like her. She's a great example and she always stood by her values. And that's what I want to do in public service.
For listeners that feel like they're not very political, what is one thing that they could do?
My advice is just look for a need in your community, right? Whether it's a traffic issue or a safety issue, just something that you see that needs to be improved, big or small, and let your voice be heard. And if it's something that is appropriate for government to help fix, engage with your leaders of your community, whether that's city council, on the county level, on the state level. It could even be as low as the neighborhood level. Everyone can do something to improve where they live. And even you and I have been in a book club for many years. And I feel like that community is an area where we talk about issues that are important. And we will often mobilize to try to do good. Like our friend Cindy from France is always doing refugee work, right? And she's doing bake sales, clothing drives, and giving us opportunities to serve and give back. Those opportunities are all around us. There's people in need all around us, whether that's in your church community, in your neighborhood, in your family. There's always something that we can do to help others and to make our communities better.
Is there anything you would really like listeners to hear?
This is a really exciting time for me because I have been comfortable in my career. I work on a very senior team where there's not as many opportunities to move up because people don't leave those positions. So I was looking for something to give my life additional meaning, and that's where I was drawn to my nonprofit work. I was even working with a coach about how to take my experience to the next level. I've been really involved with the Silicon Slopes community. There's something called Utah Tech Week in January that I'm really involved in. I've been trying to help mentor women in their careers and give back that way. And when this opportunity opened up, it's given me a new excitement and zest for life. I don't know. It was like the thing that was missing. I even attended this organization called Women's Leadership Institute. A friend invited me to go to a seminar called the Next Chapter series that provide coaching on how to either do a career pivot or to look for your next chapter. And I saw my friend who invited me last week, and I came to her and I said, I just want you to know I found my next chapter, and I want to thank you for being part of that journey and for looking out for me and helping to mentor me, because I finally found my next chapter. All of my friends have just said they can tell how excited I am about this opportunity. I fully expect to win this and be successful, but if for some reason it doesn't work out, I know I will have been better for throwing my hat in the ring and for being willing to run and put myself out there. And that's something I believed in for so long. And that's why I've supported people who have been willing to do it. But it's a whole different ballgame when you are the candidate and you're the one on the line. It takes a lot more courage. I just feel great and like I'm going down the right path. Even if this opportunity were not to work out, I know there'd be another opportunity around the corner that would allow me to serve as well.
So I hear you saying something that I understand. At the same time, it feels like it defies logic because you are entering a ground that is totally uncomfortable. You're going way
Mhm.
outside of your comfort zone. And generally speaking, that's uncomfortable. However, you're saying it's bringing you joy and
Yeah.
creating a spark of something you feel has been missing. So, how do those
Mhm.
both be true?
I worked for so long trying to feel like, how can I feel the passion again, even in a job that isn't exciting to me?
Mm,
And now I realize that I was going about it the wrong way. I
mm.
was never going to feel passionate doing the same job that I had. Now that I have this other opportunity that makes me feel so passionate and can give me all this meaning, then I'm like, wow, I never was going to reach that goal. I needed to find something aligned with my skills that, I don't know, an area where I can give back, that I enjoy, that to really feel that passion. And it's like night and day. Now I see, even in my day job, I'm more engaged, more excited to do that work because I have the fire's been lit again. And so it's interesting. Like you would think you'd have less time to work on your job. No, I'm more productive. I'm able to do the same task quicker because in my spare time in the evenings, I can go out and campaign and I'm excited about it. So it infuses all areas of your life with that amazing feeling. And like you said, the spark, right? I talked to so many different coaches and friends, and I never could find the answer. And now I realize I was never going to find the answer. The way I was going about it, I was never going to find the answer. I had to find the thing. It's interesting to me because I definitely took the leap and I prayed and I said, hey, Heavenly Father, this is what I want to do. Give me a sign if this is not what I'm supposed to do. Here I go, ready or not. And ever since, it's has not felt like work. Like I've often been up till 2 in the morning answering delegate questions or working on content for my website. There's so much to do and trying to contact 110 people, get to know 110 people in a little more than a month. I have to speak to at least 3 people every day. And I thought when you start going down a path and you start realizing, oh, this is fun. I really like this. It's like confirming to you that you're doing the right thing. And I thought it was going to be really hard and feel like a chore. And it hasn't felt like that at all. I usually try to get at least 8 hours of sleep. I've been getting like 5 to 6 hours of sleep and I'm not even tired. I feel energized. I wake up in the morning with all these ideas and I go to bed at night not wanting to turn off my laptop. I feel like that has been a confirmation to me that I am on the right path. I am living my dream. And I've been wanting to do this for 20 years. Hey, I've been ready for a while. So jump right in. Here we go. Let's see where this takes us.
I'm thinking about Moana. And you know how she
Yes,
like fought?
right?
She's
Yes.
like, I will not, I'm gonna do this thing. I'm not gonna be with the ocean. But it was internal for her. And I feel like you have had this and you were like trying to fit, I don't know, the circle in the peg in the round hole. You know
Yeah.
this?
Square peg in the round hole. Yes.
Yeah. And you're like, this is what my family needs. So this is who I'm gonna be. And now you found, is it a round hole or a square peg?
I think it's a square peg in a round hole. The square peg in the round hole was never going to fit. You would never expect a fish to run a race around a track. They would excel swimming in a body of water. And I felt like that a lot over my life. In areas where I haven't fit in, it takes so much more effort and it's exhausting to try to make yourself fit. Whereas when you find the right opportunity, it's just effortless and you can just glide through life. Talk to me in about a month or two and see if I'm still as energetic. I'm in the honeymoon phase where everything is exciting and new, right? There's definitely drudgery that's part of this job, and there's less fun parts, and it's not fun when people are rude, but I don't know. I just feel like I have this glass dome and any darts are just falling off, not reaching me. So hopefully I can keep that for as long as possible.
I hope so too. Where can people find you and how can we support you?
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Melissa Ransom Gonzalez. My website is melissaforutah.com. Melissa, the number 4utah.com. I'm on all of the social media platforms and they can reach out to me, send me a message. My contact information is listed there.
Wonderful.
I do have one last thing to say. One of the best compliments I've ever received was a friend of mine read a quote and said it reminded them of me. And it was the quote, why fit in when you were born to stand out? When they told me that, it was hard because I have always wanted to be liked and fit in. And I know that I am very unique in some ways and quirky. And I've had to learn to embrace those parts of me. But there have been times in my life when I have desired to do nothing more than to fit in. When you look back and realize, the reason I didn't fit in was because I was meant for something better. It puts things into perspective. It makes it easier to exist in that space where you don't fit in when you know the same reasons why you may not fit in certain situations were given to you so that you could shine and serve a higher purpose. That's just something that inspires me.
I believe
Maybe
that.
Cassidy,
Oh,
don't know.
I love that. I feel like that's a thing that is beautiful.
When my friend said that to me, I was so shocked and honored. They thought of me when they heard that quote. What a great compliment. I'm going to remember that
Yeah.
one forever because
Yeah.
I don't think of yourself that way.
Yeah.
And I do have a very big personality and I love to talk and I'm very passionate and enthusiastic. And sometimes that can be too much for some people. I've had to learn to tone it down. And sometimes it is hard to accept your weaknesses, but those same weaknesses can be strengths in other situations. That's something I've learned with time and wisdom.
For sure. Thank you so much. I love hearing your enthusiasm, and I am so excited about this for you. I feel like this podcast is all about change makers and people living their dream, even though it's hard and there is some doubt because when you're doing something big, it is scary. And I love what you're doing, and I applaud you for chasing something. Thank you again for being here, Melissa.
Thank you, Cassidy, for your support. It means a lot to me.
Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, keep creating, keep dreaming, and keep bringing your visions to life.